Hey guys, so I am up at the break of dawn. The sun hasn't even come over the horizon yet. So there's a couple things in the garden that I want to address. So I figured today I was just going to do a garden tour because there's a few things that I want to point out. There's a couple things that I want to remember myself for later, so I'm going to put that on camera and have it saved for later. But yeah, so we're going to just have a little bit of a garden tour today, and I'll explain a few of the things that I want to point out as we go. Alright, so here we go. So first off, we have my daughter's little rabbit garden here. And I started from seed 30 broccoli plants, and only 2 made it. And broccoli I am new to. Now, I planted these, I tried to start them from seed early enough so that way I could have a spring harvest. And it's now towards the end of summer, and they haven't even produced any broccoli yet. So I'm not sure what's going on here. That is something that I need. Man, those cars are loud. That is something that I need to investigate a little bit more. I'm wondering if maybe I'll have a fall crop, but it's weird that they've been in the ground all season. Usually they are a faster crop. You plant them and harvest them spring, or plant them late summer, harvest them fall, or midsummer and harvest them fall. So we'll see. That's kind of interesting. She already pulled up all her carrots. This is something else that I've been wanting to address right here. Is all my zucchini. So if you can see, this plant right here looks really sad, and it's kind of sad and lanky, and it's really odd because every zucchini that this plant has produced has been rotting. Like it doesn't even get to grow all the way, and it just turns squishy and rots. And so I'm thinking there's some either nutrient deficiency or disease on this particular plant. The odd thing is I have this zucchini plant right next to it, and it looks amazing, and it's given me, I think, 6 zucchinis so far. And it's just really interesting to see the difference. Also, I want to point out that this zucchini plant here, the one that's been kind of sick, is the only one that I've really had issues with the not Japanese beetles. I haven't really had those. The cucumber beetles. And so I just wanted to point that out because a lot of times one of the best ways to prevent your garden from getting bugs is to just make sure you have healthy plants. Bugs often will actually attack the more unhealthy plants. Sorry, there are cars behind me. As I move further in the garden, I'll get further away from the road. But yeah, the bugs will attack the unhealthy plants. So that's one way to make sure that your garden stays at least somewhat bug-free, is to make sure you are watering it and giving it the nutrients it needs, because the bugs will usually stay away from more healthy plants. So this one has had multiple issues, and I've left it because I'm like, well, if the bugs want that one, I'm going to leave it there so that way it can kind of be the sacrificial plant, because they've stayed away from the other one. So kind of interesting experiment there, accidental experiment, to show that yes, bugs really do go for the weaker plants. So here's all my tomatoes. I've been working on them. I already explained, I'm not going to go into explain again what I do differently. I already explained that in another video, and I will link that video in the description, just so you can see what I would do differently next year. But yeah, lots of tomatoes. We've had a whole harvest of them. There's a bunch in the house, and there's still more coming. We've got our bell peppers here, but this tomato's kind of overtaking them. Ooh, these bell peppers I started from seed, and I thought they were not going to make it, but then they came around, and I'm pretty happy. Here we've got the carrots that I planted, and I did that in another video for prepping for the fall crops. My strawberries, they're coming around. I'm happy they're coming around. Okay, so here I wanted to point this out. We've got our many pumpkins. So a couple things here with the pumpkins is you'll see that they are turning yellow in the middle, and that's actually normal for pumpkins. As the season comes to an end, the leaves more towards the center of the plant will start to turn yellow because the plant is pushing all the nutrients out to the end leaves here. And so the end leaves are still going to be green, but the middle is going to be yellow. So for a while I was like, oh my goodness, do I have some disease? Do I have something wrong? No, it's just, that's just what happens over time. Now, I do have powdery mildew on all my leaves, but my pumpkins, as you can see, they're almost done. Like, there's a bright orange pumpkin right there. And so, since they're almost done, I'm kind of like, I'm not going to bother spraying for the powdery mildew. The pumpkins are almost done. I'm sure it'll hold off. Everything will be fine until they're done growing and they're mature and orange. So, anyway, so there's the pumpkins for you right there. Now, I would next year, my dear husband did not want me to pull out any more pumpkin plants because I went and thinned them. We had 10. He planted 10 of his pumpkins right there. And I pulled most of them out. I got them down to 4. And then I said, okay, these are your pumpkins. You pick the last ones to pull out. And he's like, no, survival of the fittest. So we have his 4 pumpkins and my 1 pumpkin all in this one little bed. And that is probably why we've got the powdery mildew, because my 1 pumpkin over here doesn't really have the powdery mildew. It's that cluster of 4 over there. So next year I'm going to just follow my gut and pull them out. So here we have our huge mess of hot peppers. We've made some hot pepper relish already that we like to eat on eggs, and it looks like we might have to make some more, which is not a problem at all because we like it. And then here we have some red cherry peppers, which we haven't tried yet. So we're going to have to try those. But these are both hot peppers, and bugs have not touched them. So if you're wanting to do a beginner crop and you're a first-time gardener, do hot peppers. If you're just wanting to feel the success of gardening something and successfully having it grow, do hot peppers. Now, if you don't like spicy stuff, then I don't know. But this relish that we made, actually, because it's so sweet, it's a sweet relish, it isn't that spicy once it's canned. It kind of dilutes the spice. So I can put a link to the recipe. It's on the Ball website, Ball canning website. So I can put a link to the recipe that we used. Here we've got just some gourds for decoration. You can see one down in there. In this gourd plant, so there's 2 different gourds here. Well, 2 different plants. This one has a squash vine borer. And if you don't know what that is, it's a bright red moth, and it lays its eggs at the base of the stem. And I wanted to show you guys this. This is how you can see the damage. They burrow, the larva from this moth burrows down and, ooh, I just touched it, down into the stem, and it eats the stem out from the inside. And if you get this thing, your plant's going to be a goner soon. It was up like this, and you would see like the little bits of plant kind of being eaten out and dying, and it looks like sawdust is what it looks like. So I broke this part off. And the larva was actually right there, so I was able to pull it out and kill it. Sometimes what you'll have to do is cut open the plant until you find the larva and do like a surgery, a surgical procedure to get the larva out. Sorry, my camera is now caught in my netting. There we go. The other way you can tell, and the reason why I noticed at first is because the plant will kind of start looking like it's wilting. See how that leaf just kind of flops right there? Whereas the others are, especially on that plant, are nice and firm. So I noticed that as I was taking care of my rabbits behind me, I looked over and noticed that this plant had some wilting leaves. And I thought, I wonder if I have a squash vine borer. And sure enough, I did in this plant. So that's one way you can tell, is if they look like they're wilting, but they've obviously had enough water. And here, I figured there was something wrong because this one was wilting and that one's not. And these are the exact same variety of gourd. So, yeah, squash vine borer. Now, these are just for decoration, so I'm not I might have another borer in there. And so, but I'm not going to worry about going in and trying to find it because I just planted these for fun, for decoration. I'm not trying to get food out of them. Okay, huge marigold, woo! And then some potatoes. We planted them in the summer. It was like June, I think late June or early July. So we're going to do a fall harvest of these. And then here we have our watermelon. And I've got one hanging in a hammock right there. There's another one on the other side. There's this little itty bitty baby one. And then we found this one yesterday. And it's huge. I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of dark in there. It's huge. It's like as big as my toddler's head. And that's huge for these watermelons. These are sugar baby watermelons, so they're going to just stay small. And then, of course, my lovely basil that I planted randomly. Now here we have, this is new for me, tomatillos. Never planted tomatillos before, but I wanted some because I love salsa verde, and Taco Bell no longer has their salsa verde. So I decided I was going to plant tomatillos so I could make some. And it is interesting because these tomatillos look like lanterns and they are squishy. They're just a big air pocket. And then the fruit grows inside them until it fills this air pocket. And that's how you know when they're ready, is when the fruit is completely filling the air pocket. So that'll be new for me. Now, these plants, I started from seed and they looked so sad. They were just kind of gimpy and looking really sad, and I thought, oh, they're probably not going to make it. And so I planted 3 of them right there, and I had never done this before. And so I didn't know how big they were going to get, and they are huge. So now I know better for next year, but I was so surprised that they even made it. And they're doing great. So I'm excited. I'll get salsa verde. And then let's come over here. Over here we have just our strawberries. I pulled in a previous video, I pulled out the ever-bearing ones back there. These ones are still looking sad because I think they're right under my dryer vent. But these ones are looking amazing, and I'm excited. These are June bearings, so they won't produce any more this year, but next year they'll look amazing. Over here we have just some decorative pumpkin plants, and these ones are potted containers, and so I've been having to water them a lot, like every day pretty much, and then I also have to fertilize them. You have to fertilize containers consistently because the nutrients will drain out the bottom, and I've been fertilizing them with my rabbit compost tea. I also have a video on that. And these are, there's 2 different varieties here. So there's the little baby boos. They're just fun, small pumpkins. And then we've got the Jack Littles right there. So there's our pumpkin plants, and it is like long vine right through there. And then our toys, my kids' toys. Okay. Around here, we're exiting the vegetable garden and into flowers. So here, hang on, let me turn down my brightness because this is a little brighter over here with the sun. There we go. So here, these right here, and right here, they're huge. This is one plant. I got it in a small 4-inch pot. And both of those, like that's one plant and that's one plant. And these are the Supertunia Vista bubblegum. And Supertunias are through proven winners, and I love them because this is what they do. With one plant, I was able to just fill that whole garden space and call it good. And it keeps the weeds down because there's a plant there. And in potted containers, if you keep them fertilized, they look amazing because that whole thing, imagine that whole thing trailing out. Now you have to fertilize very consistently to keep it like that, but it's just amazing. I have my echinacea or cone flowers. We've got some sunflowers in the back and my marigolds that haven't bloomed yet on this side. And this is something I found interesting. So these are impatiens. And if any of you know about impatiens, you know that they are a shade. They are a shade-loving plant. So, but this thing, I mean, look how huge that plant got. It's like probably 18 inches in diameter. It's a big plant. And then this one too is about 12. It's kind of combining with my Super Vistas, there, Super Tunias. And then these ones over here are in the shade where they're supposed to love it, and they have not gotten much bigger than when I planted them. And I thought that was really interesting because here in the shade where they're supposed to love it, they're tiny, but then here in the sun, they haven't like shriveled or anything, and they've actually thrived. So kind of interesting. This doesn't get sun all day, but it does get at least 7 hours. So just an interesting note. I've got one random flower there. My roses have been being eaten by Japanese beetles, but that is the only thing I've had an issue with the Japanese beetles, is my rose. And so, like I said, I think I said in a previous video, it is smart to have sacrificial plants. If you want to do organic gardening and want to avoid all the harsh chemicals on your vegetables, then you can plant sacrificial plants like roses, and the beetles and bugs will like those better. So you plant plants that they like absolutely the best, and just know that they're gonna look sad. So I've had a couple beautiful roses on it this year, so I'm happy I got to enjoy it. But yes, the Japanese beetles have been eating that. But if they're only going to eat my rose and leave my vegetables alone, then I'm fine with that. That means I get my vegetables. All right, sunflowers. This bed is a little bit of a mess. It's kind of just a fun place with flowers for my daughter to pick her flowers. The next thing I'm going to show you is really embarrassing to me. And I'm going to show it to you guys, one, to help you realize that I'm not a perfect gardener. I'm not. I'm really not. You guys can see that in my plants and stuff. And there's weeds everywhere. But I guess just to kind of help you guys feel good about your gardening, I'm going to show this to you so you can see, oh, I don't have to do everything perfectly, because that's something I've struggled with. And I, over time, have just realized, thanks to help from other YouTubers and my husband, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have the perfect place and everything done exactly right the first time. So I'm going to show you this, and it's a little embarrassing. Here we go. Okay, so this back here is a fish pond flower garden. It's a bird garden. And so it's a weird connection here. We don't actually own this spot or the garage. We bought just the house, but our friend down the road does own this. And the agreement was, this is embarrassing. The agreement was that we could just keep this and use it how we want it. So it is my responsibility to take care of, but I've just realized that my ambitions were high and my time was low. And so I've got 2 little kids. I had a baby last year, and we have a big vegetable garden. And so this that is hidden in the corner has just been left to do what it wants. And we did do some stuff in it this year, but it is, do you see how crazy messy it is? So this is my goal for next year, to really tackle this. I'm hoping my kids will both be walking by that time and be better friends, actually play. The baby won't just be stealing stuff from big sister. So yeah, weeds everywhere. We did trim back some things, but I really want to clean this up. Look, it looks like a beautiful forest back here. If this was all natural, it'd be kind of pretty, but it's not supposed to be. We need to really do something about it. And it's crazy because it's actually been the weeds have been pretty low up until this past 2 weeks. And I even sprayed back here. So I have been trying to do some stuff. I sprayed back here. The weeds were down for most of the summer, and then they just popped up in the last 2 weeks. So, but we've got this fish pond, and this fish pond is super, super messy. It needs to be cleaned out. We haven't had water filtering through it to help keep the sludge down and stuff for 2 years. Basically since we moved in, just because this has been on the back burner. And then this year it was our goal to make it look good and prep the pond and clean it up, and then we saw that we had frogs, a frog couple that laid their eggs in here, and I couldn't bear to kill a bunch of baby frogs, so there's tons of tadpoles in here right now. So this fall, once they are grown up and adult frogs and move out, or at least can hop on the ground to find more water, we are cleaning this out. So there should be a video on cleaning this out. I am going to get in there with my galoshes, my rubber boots, and just clean out the whole thing, and we're going to start fresh. So anyway, it will be a pretty area again soon. But that's basically our yard. I didn't show you the front or anything because it hasn't changed much. It's just a bunch of perennials up there, green perennials. But that's about it. I just wanted to give this little tour. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now I've got to feed my bunnies here. There's a little clip of the rabbits. Happy little bunnies. I'm going to put them in the pen for a little bit too so they can get some grass. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tour of our whole garden. And hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but you know, sometimes it's fun to just watch other people's experiments and things. But we'll see you guys in another video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.